Alright, hey guys, Pax here. Welcome back to another Pokemon Pocket video. In this video, we'll be going over Celebi EX. A rather old card came out in Mythical Islands over a year ago, and quite recently this card has had a bit of a resurgence in the meta. So this is Celebi right here, HP 130, basic of course, has 1 attack, Powerful Bloom, requires 2 energy, 1 grass, 1 colorless. Flip a coin. For each energy attached to this Pokemon, this attack does 50 more damage per each head. So with 2 energy attached, you can do max damage of 100, 3 energy, 150, 4 energy, 200, and so on and so forth. Granted, it is RNG dependent. You could do 200 damage one turn, and then the next turn you just do 0. So yeah, this requires a bit of RNG, but nevertheless a very fun card, and has seen a bit of resurgence, especially in tournaments from the past week. We'll be going over 2 decks. So the first variation is right here. So we got Magnemite, Magneton, Magnezone, Leafeon, amazing support, as well as Juggler. Essentially what ties his deck all together, we shall see later on in the video. But yeah, this is your first video on my channel. Really do consider if you like and subscribe. Really does help me out, especially as a small-time content creator. And without further ado, let's get right in to the deck showcase. Here we are in our first battle. We are going second up against the Mega Venusaur Ex solo deck. And again, if you guys are new to my deck showcases, first battle isn't really meant to be too hard, more so just to get the feel for a deck. So this is nice. Ideally, you do want to lead with either Eevee and then eventually evolve into Leafeon Ex, or the Magnemites, and then towards the middle to late game, sub in Celebi and just sweep your opponent. Alright, not too bad. Opponent is leading with Nihilego and another one in the bench. I could Professor's Research, but just to maximize my value, gonna copycat getting a ton of cards. Alright, didn't change too much. So I still have the Professors, nice. Magnezone. So at this point, very straightforward. Just do this and end our turn. Magnezone is also pretty cool because keep in mind, only requires 1 lightning energy. Next 2 can be whatever color. So as you can see, we are running dual type. That's essentially just to kind of trigger Juggler. Because for Juggler's ability to work, you need 3 different types of energy on the board. So Professor, hopefully we can get a Magneton, because we can be just super aggressive. We got Juggler, perfect. We got Celebi as well, nice. So at this point, very straightforward stuff. You ideally just want to keep on doing this. And Magneton is amazing as well, because again, Magneton, if you guys don't know, very popular card. It generates passive lightning energy each turn, and that's amazing, especially if you pair that with Juggler. You can use this card only if your Pokemon in play have 3 or more different types of energy attached. Move all energy from each of your bench Pokemon to your active. So yeah, later on we can get a ton of value. At this point, might as well Leaf Cape Celebi and just chill like this. Rather slow, but again, the main draw is to just build Celebi. Get fed a ton of energy and then one-shot any Pokemon. So yeah, I feel like Celebi is probably better against Megas, because if you can one-shot a Mega, then it's GG. So Professor, hopefully you can get a Leafeon. Just 1 copy of Leafeon, please. Gosh, okay. We're getting pretty unlucky, but at the same time, we are feeding Celebi. So we got everything that we need. This is ideally how you want your board to look. So yes, just keep feeding Celebi. All right, opponent gets Mega Venusaur on the field. Slowly building, so next turn, actually in 2 turns, can attack. But we're fine. We're chilling like this. We have 5 more cards. Opponent has 8 in their deck. Clemont getting a ton of value, getting both our Magnemites out. So this is nice. And at this point, we can start attacking, which is pretty good. So first of all, do this, then do that. So yeah, next turn we can attack with Magnezone if you do evolve. Just to maximize Juggler a bit more, I'm going to do this, because I'm banking that my opponent does sub in the Mega Venusaur. So yeah, again, very strong against Megas. Potentially, again, it is variable. The damage is, it really does depend. I could flip like 7 coins and get 7 tails. Yeah, so that's gonna be very bad, but perfect. Yeah, so at this point, just do this. Not attacking again, just keep on building the Celebi. So just do this, and then feed Celebi. Leafeon's amazing because of Force Breath. So yeah, use Force Breath, feed Celebi, and at this point, there's Volt Charge, and I could use Juggler right now, but I'm gonna save it for next turn. So at this point, just end my turn. Opponent subs in Mega Venusaur. Here we go. This is where things get real, because Mega Venusaur has 270 health, so I need to get 6 heads to one-shot Mega Venusaur. So it is rather scary, but this is why I feel like this deck is more fun. You can still see some success in PvP, especially in ranked, also higher tier ranks. I actually lost to this last night. It was interesting. I got pretty bad luck, but yeah, nevertheless, Leafeon did their job. Here we go. It ultimately comes down to this turn. So if you like coin flips, if you like building up anticipation for like a very intense battle, this is the deck for you. So first of all, Let's do this. Magneton. I'm actually going to evolve both of them just in case my opponent does Sabrina, because they very much might do that. And at this point, beat Celebi and then Juggler. Celebi has 5 energy attached. And if I do this, just like that. So I have 11 energy. Okay. So again, it's rather scary. Against Mega Venusaur Ex, I feel like this might be one of the worst Mega EX matchups, primarily because of how tanky Mega Venusaur is. But here we go. I need to get 6 heads out of 11 coin flips. Here we go. This is going to be fun. So here we go. First coin flip. Please. Okay. 2 heads, 3. 4. Can I get it? I got 5. Okay. So that's going to do 250. Damn. That's rough. But because of that Leaf Cape, I will be surviving. Yeah. I'm going to be surviving with, I think, 10 HP. So I do that, and then I take 30 and slept on. Okay. So it all comes down to this coin flip. Okay. Nice. Okay. That's good. So very scary. As you can see, this deck is rather powerful. So here we go. It's going to be coin flipping. I need to get 2 heads. I swear. If I don't get 2 heads somehow, it's going to be depressing. But here we go. First heads. Okay. Second heads. GG. And just like this, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 400 damage. Yeah. That's the power of Celebi. Don't sleep on this grass Pokemon. Over a year old, but still is a lot of fun. And it can be very viable in the meta. And with that being said, we shall see how this deck performs in PvP. All right, here we are in PvP battle. We are going first. I did switch out the Magnemite for this one that only does 10 damage instead of 20, but requires colorless, so that could help me out, especially if I am going second. Do a bit of chip damage. Okay, not too bad. So at this point, this Clemont, you could also play it like this. So you could definitely just lead it with Magnemite and then eventually sub into Magnezone because, yeah, Magneton is an amazing support for Celebi, but at the same time, Magnezone is amazing in general. This is an amazing non-EX, could definitely win you the game. So overall, this deck has a lot of coin flips, to say the least. All right, so this is a very interesting matchup. Opponent is using Mega Swampert EX. We got Eevee, nice. So yeah, Swampert could mess us up, evolving into Magneton. It ultimately comes down to RNG, because if my opponent does evolve into Swampert, but there's still hope, because, I mean, Swampert EX does require a bit of RNG. If you guys haven't checked my previous deck showcase, probably should. Damn, yeah, that's rough. So one-shotting Magneton, but could also disrupt them. Okay, Mega Swampert does attack. Discarding from... Damn, that's rough. Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's the main issue for this deck is that it is kind of slow. Again, there's another variation of this deck, which I will go into later on. It ultimately comes down to RNG. Because, yeah, right now I really can't compete. So I'm just going to feed Celebi. Yeah, I feel like when it comes to matchups, Mega EXs, this might be the worst. Primarily because of the attack ability, discarding 2 energy. Because you want to just keep on feeding Celebi. Also, this guy does hit like a truck. Yeah, discarding from himself. Okay, so there's still hope. It's looking very grim, but if you can get a Leaf Cape, that'll be huge. So that's the main issue for Mega Swampert. Again, I do recommend looking at my previous deck showcase. All we could do is this. So we did get lucky with our dual energy type. We can do a max of 100 damage. Please. Okay, 30 damage. Sure, I'll take it. But at this point, yeah, all we need now is a Leaf Cape, and then we have hope. So this guy won't be able to attack unless my opponent does use Misty and gets lucky with that. All right, Professor researches and ends their turn. You got a Magnemite. Damn, this is rough. So my opponent has 2 points. Yeah, it's GG. We really can't do anything. So even if you do 130 damage right here, if you get all heads, opponent's still going to survive. But yeah, that's pretty rough. Opponent did get very lucky though, just being able to get going second as well as getting Mega Swampert out their second turn. Yeah, a lot of potential. Again, that deck is very fun and also very infuriating because of the attack ability. So yeah, GG, one-shotting the Forest Guardian Pokemon, also healing. Nice. And GG. Yeah, that's pretty rough, but at the same time, Mega Swampert isn't really too popular in the meta. All right, next battle, going second up against a Fire deck. Is it going to be Oricorio, interesting. Oricorio and Ogerpon. Looks like we are forced to lead with Magnemite. Next turn, we can get Magnezone out. Opponent feeds Oricorio. Next turn, Ogerpon could attack. Yes, so I'm just gonna do this, evolve into Magneton. I could Clemont, but just to maximize my hand. I have 5 cards. I have 6 cards, my opponent has 5. Might as well copycat. Alright, not too bad. So we do pull an Eevee, Leafeon, Magnezone, Celebi. Perfect. At this point, I'm gonna play like this. So I could sub out of Magneton into Leafeon and just keep on feeding Celebi. But this looks like a non-EX deck, and yeah, I feel like when it comes to Celebi, when it comes to like very hard hitting Pokemon, they strive more against EXs. And looking at this, yeah, non-EXs, Celebi can get some good value, but at the same time, I mean, looking at Magnezone, does 90, can one-shot Oricorio and most of their Pokemon. Alright, Ogerpon attacks, gets Tails, so isn't able to feed, I'm assuming, the Scorbunny in the bench. Alright, so Professor's Research, perfect. So we get a Pokeball. This is a guaranteed Magnemite. Let's do this. Volcharge, Magneton, feed Celebi, and evolve. Just evolve all the Pokemon that we have, and just lead like this. So this is why this deck is amazing. Like, Celebi is nice, just charging up Celebi, kind of like a Spirit Bomb in Dragon Ball. You just want to keep on feeding. But at the same time, Magnezone does 90. A great non-EX to deal with cards such as Oricorio and also frail Pokemon like this. So at this point, evolve into Magneton. I could Clemont, but Clemonting doesn't do anything at this point, so might as well copycat. Not too bad. So not too bad. So Leaf Cape Celebi, feed this Celebi, and if this Magneton in the active slot dies, we can either sub into Celebi or our second copy of Magnezone. So yeah, very straightforward. 90 damage. Cinderace one-shots Magnezone. The thing about Cinderace is that after attacking, you can attack your next turn. Yes, at this point, Celebi, it's up to you. I could sub Magnezone in. It's gonna take me 2 turns to kill, but you know what? I gotta play this rather daring. So we have 4 energy next turn attached. If we can get Juggler right now, this will be huge. Oh, yes. Yes, so we do this. And I could Sabrina. But you know what? Just for the sake of the video, I want to one-shot this guy. So, Juggler, just like this. 6 energy. I'm gonna hold off on Magnezone for now. Here we go. 6. I need to get 3 heads. 1, 2, 3. Just like that, 200 damage. Yeah. Oh, gosh, I miss this card. This card, I remember when it first came out. It was very fun. I actually uploaded a little PAX fact. I did upload my Celebi deck showcase on my graduation day. So it's a little bit of lore right there. But yeah, nevertheless, a very fun card. All right, so this is the second variation of the deck. As you can see, prioritizing more, just staying in the grass archetype. I'm gonna put both decks up on the screen right here just for comparison. So yeah, as you can see, you ideally want to lead with Leafeon EX or non-EX Leafeon, Superior in the bench, and then eventually sub in to Celebi and just sweep like that. This deck actually won a tournament recently, so I did use this deck in my previous meta report. If you guys want to check that out, it's very interesting, so we'll see how it performs. All right, next battle, we are going second. Ideally, you want to lead with Eevee. I feel like this is not good leading with Celebi. Opponent might be using a very similar deck as well, using Leafeon EX as well, so this is very awkward. At this point, might as well copycat, getting a bit of value. Hopefully you can get an Eevee and a Leafeon, please. Very awkward. So sub into Eevee, leading with this guy. This guy is very interesting, very similar to Celebi in a sense, because does 10 base damage, and this attack does 20 more damage for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. So yeah, this kind of scales in damage. Might as well red card, end our turn, and in 2 turns, we can get Superior out because of Quick Row Extract. I feel like most of you guys already know, but this card is essentially an evolution card. All right, opponent evolves into Leafeon EX, not able to attack this turn. So at this point, might as well just keep on building the Celebi. The Leafeon on the board right here is essentially cannon fodder. So nice, we got our second copy of Eevee, okay. And at this point, Servine. And if I don't pull a Superior next turn, I can just Quick Row Extract and then evolve like that. So feed Celebi, end our turn. Opponent Sabrinas, okay. Trying to maximize value. We shall see how many Sabrinas they do have, because they might have just wasted it right there. So taking a point, sure. But again, we want to just keep on feeding our Celebi. So at this point, sub into Leafeon and just keep on building that guy up. All right, so Quick Row Extract. Just like this, Superior is out. Very nice card. I'll actually feed this Leafeon right now, so Yeah, this Leafeon will do 50 damage because, keep in mind, Superior is an amazing support because of Jungle Totem, so each grass energy attached to your grass Pokemon provides 2 energy, so treat this one energy as 2, doing 50 damage. Not too much, but yeah, just some pretty decent damage. So next turn, Celebi needs to get 2 heads to one shot. Ooh boy, opponent's using Ogerpon. Very scary. Because this guy, you should see later on, this guy can do easily 120 damage. Opponent actually lucky ice swaps, only healing 20. So that is awkward. So now Celebi needs to get 3 heads. But at the same time, we can just take our time. So just do this. Very straightforward. Doing 50 yet again, just getting below that 100 HP threshold. Yep, opponent attacks. And here we go. We are in the end game. Subbing into Celebi, and even if my opponent does Sabrina, Superior should survive. But this is where it gets very scary, because if my opponent does red, they can easily win. So right now, as you can see, I have 3 energy attached, but in reality, it's equivalent to 6 energy because of Superior buff. So I need to get 2 heads, please. Perfect, just like that. Nice, 150. Okay, little voice crack, but it works out. So Leafeon is dead. Now all I need to do is one-shot one of their Pokemon, and I win. All right, here we go. Okay, opponent reds. Yeah, if my opponent didn't red, we could have just massacred them. But I mean, this is why we are running 1 copy of Leaf Cape. That would have actually helped us out tremendously, but given RNG, yeah, that's pretty rough. And to close off the video, we'll be using this deck in rank, and we'll see how it performs. In my weekly meta report, a little spoiler, it wasn't that good. Granted, I got very bad hand, but I believe second time's the charm. All right, here we are in ranked, leading with Eevee. This is nice, but opponent's running Greninja. And Greninja is a pretty significant counter to this deck because, of course, the Cyrus Greninja combo. All right, perfect. So I copycatted lead like this, but it is very scary because of Sweeping Greninja. So we basically have to outspeed my opponent. Next turn, Celebi can attack. So just Force Breath, beating Celebi, and then end our turn. So we could still lose, not lose, but we can win, but also there's a chance we could lose. It's very slim, but not too bad. So let's do this. Force Breath. I can either do it to either Leafeon or Celebi, doesn't matter. But then if I do this, I have to do that. And I need to get 2 heads. If I don't, then this will get pretty scary, but my opponent concedes. Yeah. So, a complete reversal to my performance in the weekly meta report. My opponent just got a very bad hand. One more battle. He can't finish the video off like that. All right, last battle, I swear. This is looking more like my usual luck. Okay, so leading with Snivy, not good. Ideally for this deck, you want to specifically lead with Eevee. And we are going second, so that's not the best. Red card just to show my opponent a little bit. Looking at our hand, doesn't look too promising. We can get this Leafeon out next turn, so we might be forced to lead with that. But regardless, we want to outspeed our opponent because of Greninja and Suicune's prominence. Our opponent does sub into Chingling, disrupting us a little bit, not too... Yeah, actually a lot, never mind, Pokeball. Okay, so interesting. At this point, we are kind of forced to do this. Very awkward since Snivy already has some damage. We're just gonna play like this, why not? Being a little bit aggressive. So just do that and end our turn. Our opponent feeds Mega Absol, attacks with Chingling yet again. Leaf Cape, nice, that's good to have. Yes, at this point, evolve into Superior. Might as well Leaf Cape this Leafeon right here. Copycat, damn, that's pretty rough. But at this point, let's do this. This guy's doing 50 damage, able to one-shot Chingling, doing a bit of damage next turn onto Mega Absol. Yep, doing 80 damage. Because of that Leaf Cape, we are surviving. And opponent's gonna remove Rest in Peace Professor. Last card, please! Celebi, okay. There is still hope. So we can just do this. Feed Celebi. And do a bit more chip damage. Doing type advantage as well, so doing 70, perfect. Next turn, this Leafeon will die. And it's all up to Celebi at this point. So opponent does Rare Candy. Not good. So, damn. If they Cyrus, it might be GG. They can easily just one-shot a Celebi right now. So Leafeon's gonna take a bit of damage. Rest in peace. Subbing into Celebi. Opponent hasn't used a supporter card just yet, so they could Cyrus. The Superior. Subbing in Froakie, okay. Respectable. Next turn, they are doing a decent amount of damage. Okay, this is not too good. Yeah, if anything, it might hinder us because of Greninja Cyrus, so I'm just gonna leave like this. Very straightforward, kind of awkward. but next turn my opponent is only doing 100 damage, so Celebi will be surviving. They won't win, but it's going to mess us up a lot. So, Powerful Bloom. 4 coin flips, please. 2 heads. First head. There we go. 150, just like that. Okay, we're in the end game now. We are in the end game. It ultimately comes down to these 2 turns right here. Okay, it should be GG. He Water Shurikens. Celebi's going to be at 30 HP. They could still win. If I mess this up. But I have 6. Never mind, okay. Concedes. Sure. They could have still won. Because I had 6 coin flips. But if I get only 1 heads out of those 6, then I lose. So they could have easily won. Don't be like this person. I would have just played it out because anything can happen. This is an RNG game and this card is very RNG dependent. So very slim chances, but still anything can happen. Yeah, that's what a way to finish the video off. That's Celebi EX in a nutshell. And yeah, that was the deck showcase. Overall, this card is very fun. I feel like, granted, I mean, it does require a bit of setup. Going up against decks such as the previous deck, again, if my opponent did have a Cyrus, that would mess me up a lot, especially if they did start targeting my Superior because of Superior buff being very overpowered. If they ended up one-shotting Superior, they wouldn't have won, but that would be a huge blunder to us because, yeah, just kind of limiting our chances to do max damage. But nevertheless, yes, if you want a very fun, chill deck to use, I would use this deck. As you can see in higher tier ranks, does see a bit of performance, can definitely work. And again, it did win a tournament recently, so yeah, really do like to see this. I mean, this card when it first came out was huge news. It was a lot of fun, especially, of course, with the Superior buff. And it gets much better as time goes on because of cards such as, this deck isn't running Rare Candy, but you could run Rare Candy. Quicker Extract, amazing. Once again, this is the deck list right here. I'm gonna pair both deck lists side by side. So the one on the right is the one I used in the second half of the video. The first half is gonna be in the left. So yeah, it's really up to you. Personally, I feel like both decks are good, but part of me does prefer the first deck because of Magnezone. Magnezone is an amazing card. Also Magneton, of course. So you could use Magneton to support Celebi, or you could just leave with Magnezone and just like bully your opponent just like that. So yeah, a lot of potential and overall very fun. Again, I keep saying this in my videos, I keep saying, but it really is. Just being fully transparent, I really do enjoy this deck. And overall, I'd rate both of them B+. Yeah, because I feel like there are better decks to invest in, like Hydreigon, Suicune, but if you want something that's not really as meta and is a lot of fun, requires a bit of RNG, but not too much, then I would invest in this deck. And yeah, Celebi, one of my favorite Pokemons. I've been recently playing Pokemon Heart and Soul, which is a GBA ROM remake of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Yeah, overall, really do like this. Whenever I see Leafeon, I get very happy as well. Just Leafeon's an amazing support, decent damage. And yeah, that's the video. Hope you guys did enjoy. Again, make sure to like and subscribe because it really does help me out tremendously, especially as a small-time content creator. I always say this in my video, but yeah, it really does help me out tremendously, both mentally and also physically. And yeah, that's pretty much the video, and I'll see you guys on my next one. Peace.